Hello and welcome into this week's edition of our Devils in Detail Hockey Roundtable. I'm Ethan Schmidt alongside Carson Roberts and Josh Schaefer. We got lots to talk about today. The Sun Devil men's ice hockey team took on Penn State Nittany Lions at Gila River Arena this past weekend. The Sun Devils fell short 7-0 in Friday's game and lost 4-2 with an empty net in Saturday's game. Now, Josh, what did you take away from that game?
Well, if we're looking at the first game, first period, Arizona State, I thought came out and I don't want to say they were the better team, but it was a very even first 20 minutes. And I thought that if the Arizona State was able to replicate the first 20 minutes in the second and third periods, they'd be able to come out with a victory or at least keep it close against a very good Penn State team who's the defending Big Ten tournament champions. And unfortunately for Arizona State, that just wasn't the case. Penn State tends to take a lot of shots. ASU tends to give up a lot of shots, and it seemed like towards the end of the second period, maybe even the beginning of the third, it got to the point where just take shots if you're the Sun Devils, and they just couldn't get any scoring opportunities besides maybe one or two, and then they had one scoring chance that came in the final 15 seconds of the game, but at that point it was already 7-0.
Yep, that's true. The Sun Devils very poorly outshot in that first game, losing 7-0. The Nittany Lions scored 2 power play goals in the 7-0 rout. Now, Carson, what are some things that you noticed from this series this past weekend?
Well, again, second game, the Sun Devils got outshot a lot. And just like Josh said, it just seemed like the Sun Devils couldn't hang with the skill and the speed of Penn State. As in the second game, it would seem that it started out even for about the first 5 minutes of each period, but then Penn State would find a way to pull away. That being said, the Sun Devils did a great job of finding scoring opportunities in the few shots they did have. They had good passing at times. Passing did struggle, but Joey DeCorte had an amazing game. He was lights out after letting up 2 goals in 26 seconds in the first period. He finished with 45 saves on 48 shots. The 4th goal was an empty netter. Just Penn State, great transition game. They just managed to find a lot of 2-on-1s, but DeCorte managed to keep them in the game. That being said, it wasn't all bad. Arizona State, showed they had a great second line centered by Brett Gruber. Also had Johnny Walker and Dominic Garcia on the wings. That line showed a lot of promise, so there's a lot to look forward to.
Well, the Penn State Nittany Lions did have 5 NHL draft picks come on this trip to Arizona. But now the Sun Devils looking for something of their own, sitting at 2-8-2 on the season. Who are some of the players that you guys have noticed that have really stepped up despite the record not showing so far?
Well, I'm going to feed right off of what Carson just said about Joey DeCorte. I think Joey DeCorte has been the best player so far this season for Arizona State. He's what keeps them in games against top-tier opponents like Penn State. His season high was at 47 saves against Colgate in New York just a few weeks ago, and we knew coming into this past weekend against Penn State, he was going to be called on again. And in both games, he is what kept Arizona State in the game. Granted, they were scoring goals in Game 2 of the quick 2-game series, but Game 1, he was, despite giving up 7 goals, I think that was more on the skaters and the defensemen than it was on Joey DeCorte. He still posted 42 saves on 49 shots in that game. So he's getting up closer towards his season high, but not quite there yet. But I think we could see that again throughout the course of the season against some other Big Ten teams that ASU will play later on, like Michigan.
Definitely, Josh. Yeah, Joey DeCorte been a huge impact on this team. Usually a brick wall in between the pipes for the Sun Devils. The Ottawa Senators draft pick had 20th best 920 save percentage going into the Penn State series. But now, Carson, what skater, who have you seen that's leading the offense for the Sun Devils team despite the record not showing so far?
Well, I mentioned him earlier. Brett Gruber has been really showing out this season on the ice. He's tied for the team lead with Jacob Stridesburg with 7 points on the season, 2 goals, 5 assists. He did a great job with the second line this past weekend. He has great stick handling ability, plays a good 2-way game. He's the only skater on the team right now with a positive plus-minus. He's at +1, but on a team that allows as many goals as Arizona State does, that's a very good stat to have. He needs to work on his shot. He's shooting at just like 8% on the season. But it's a good thing to see him putting pucks towards the net since he's a very skillful player.
Well, Brett Gruber definitely is somebody that the Sun Devils like to have in the middle really brings the offense together and the team together. He's somebody that will continue to look forward to this season. But now, guys, sitting at 2-8-2 with the schedule not getting any easier, the Sun Devils taking on Holy Cross this weekend, and they still have teams like Michigan that you mentioned, Josh. What do you see out of the Sun Devils in the rest of this season?
Like you said, it does not get any easier for them, but I do think that they have a lot of room to improve, and I think they will. They're starting to, I think, find their groove. Unfortunately for them, I think it's been a little bit too late for them to find their groove, but they're trying to generate more shots. Bottom line, I think the defense needs to step up, help out Joey DeCorte a little bit more, and then bottom line, they need to create and generate more scoring chances and get more shots on goal.
Definitely. And Carson, real quick, what do you think the Sun Devils need to change in this second half of the season?
They need to just get young guys more ice time. Coach Powers mentioned it over this past weekend. A lot of the decisions came down to who was a freshman, who was a graduate senior. It was just you want to get the young guys more ice time so they can develop for the next seasons and build the program.
Definitely. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you for tuning into this week's edition of our Hockey Roundtable. This is Devils in Detail. You can check out all our content at devilsindetail.com. Thanks for watching.